Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by. My name's Stone Rain Productions, but please feel free to call me SRP if you'd like. And today I wanted to revisit an older deck that I made. Hate Bears was pretty fun, but it wasn't really quite the time for the deck. I think we're in a much better spot for this now. So I just wanted to go over everything and explain my choices and whatnot, what the deck's all about. And we'll go from there. But yeah, if you could please like and subscribe, definitely helps out quite a bit if you can. Um, Thanks for your consideration at the very least. So, why are we playing Sabe? As I'm sure you're aware, if you play games online, the aggressive negotiations is pretty much everywhere. So, I want to try to minimize that as much as possible, and I think this deck could go a long way in doing that. It's pretty annoying, and I started building a sideboard, but I just kind of didn't want to commit to it at this point, so just ignore the sideboard for now. Sabe is a cunning heroism leader that deploys on 5. It has when a friendly unit deals combat damage to a base, you may exhaust this leader. If you do, look at the top 2 cards of the defending player's deck, discard one of those cards, and put the other back on top. Okay, so this helps us get rid of troublesome cards. We can get rid of the aggressive negotiations if we see them on top, or anything else that's troublesome. It flips on 5, like I said, it's a 3/6, and when Sabe deals damage to a base, you get to look at your opponent's hand and make them discard a card. So that also can get rid of the aggressive negotiations as well too. In this deck, we're running 3 copies of Jam Communications, which is pretty much a perfect card, and I think for some reason people have forgotten about this. It's still in JTL, so it's legal, but it's a 1 cost to look at an opponent's hand and discard an event from them. This isn't completely useless later in the game because it still gives us information for some of our units that we'll go into details with. I really like Nimble Prowess. I think now is kind of the time for it. 1 cost +1/+1 upgrade. Plus we get to exhaust a unit in the same arena. It's just pretty good, and it's pretty low opportunity cost. I'm also running 3 copies of Anakin Skywalker. There's a little bit of a synergy with this. It's a 2 cost 2/4, and it says when a friendly unit attack ends, if no other units have attacked this phase, you may return it to its owner's hand. If you do, heal 2 damage from your base. So we get to heal up a little bit, and then we get to bounce something back to hand. If we do something like a Sokatana later on, we can just replay it and make our opponent discard again. There's a couple other cards where that's beneficial too as well, but the healing 2 is very nice. On that same vein, I'm running 3 copies of Chandrilan's Sponsor. It's a 2 cost 2/3 with Restore 2. Just handy for the Restore. It's pretty good. We're also running 3 copies of Lobot. You'll notice that we're pretty low to the ground on this deck. Lobot is a 2 cost 0/4 with Sentinel with Grit, so it's pretty good in the early game. We've got another Sentinel right next to it here. Loth Wolf, 2 cost 3/3 with Sentinel. It can attack, but we really don't need it to. We just need it to kind of buy some time for us on the ground. I've got 3 copies of Sabine's Masterpiece. We're most likely just going to have Cunning and Vigilance aspects for this. 3 cost 3/3 in space. On attack, the Vigilance is heal 2 damage from base. And the command is we get to exhaust a resource, which is pretty annoying early on. So it's better if we can deploy this pretty quickly. Wrong Ride is a good plot option where we can continue to exhaust our opponent's resources and make life a little bit more difficult. 3 from the resource row to exhaust 2 sometimes is worth it. We're running 2 copies of it though. Sokatano is a 4 cost 3/5 with a when played of an opponent discards a card from their hand. If it's a unit, you may exhaust a unit. So pretty standard, we get to exhaust. The premise of this is we just want to make our deck as annoying as possible for our opponent. Exhaust stuff like crazy, make things cost more in some cases, just make things really difficult for them. That's kind of the theme of Hate Bears. Also running 3 copies of Blue Ace in space here. It's a 4-cost 4/5 with ambush, and on attack, ready an exhausted enemy unit. The drawback doesn't really come up terribly often. We're usually killing the thing that we're readying anyway. One of the cool cards in here is Galen, and I think now is really Galen's time to shine. It's a 4-cost 3/5, and it has a when played of name a card while this unit is in play. Each non-leader card an opponent owns with that name, including those in play, loses all abilities and can't gain abilities, and it has plot. You can name credits if you want to shut down your opponent's credit tokens. You can name aggressive negotiations, and it just completely shuts that down. It's got no text. It's just a handy card to have around now. I've got 3 copies of Kanan. This is definitely one of the better cards in the set. 4-cost 3/4 with Restore 1. When played, you may return a non-leader unit that costs 2 or less to its owner's hand. If you control a Cunning or Aggression unit, you may return a non-leader that costs 4 or less instead. Unfortunately, we're going to be stuck with the 2 or less option, which it's still somewhat relevant. Also, it doesn't say opponent, so we could target something like our Lothwolf or a Lobot and just kind of reset it. Just an option there. But I like the Restore one as well. Rio Durant is also super annoying. 4-cost 2/5 has a when played of you may return a non-leader unit that costs 3 or less to its owner's hand. Then its owner may play it for free. It gains shielded for this phase. So worst case, this just exhausts an enemy unit, but we can also replay our own units with Rio, kind of the same way we were just talking there. Running 3 copies of Lightmaker, which is a 5-cost 3/4 with Raid 4, and it has when defeated, choose an arena, exhaust each enemy unit in that arena. So definitely a very handy unit, and it can finish the game quick. I've got 3 copies of Captain Rex, which is a 6-cost 7/7 with when played or when this unit completes an attack, give this unit and an enemy unit Sentinel for this phase. Some funny things that have come up here with Captain Rex is I've given an opponent Sentinel, give one of their units, and then I've bounced it with Rio. It's kind of funny. It does come up, but it doesn't come up a ton. It's still pretty cool. Finn is pretty great in here as well. It's a 6-cost 6/5 with ambush, and on attack, you may give a shield token to a non-unique unit. This is a pretty unique heavy deck, but I think that there's I actually haven't done the math on this here. There's a couple: Lothwolf, Chandrillin, Sponsor, and yeah, that's it. So not many, but it can happen. Rhydonium Detonation is a 7-cost event. It says each player may return a non-leader unit to its owner's hand, then defeat all non-leader units. So this is kind of good to pick up our own units. I think that we can kind of break the symmetry a little bit easier in this because we've got a lot of things that can bounce units in our deck here. And then lastly, 2 copies of Bo-Katan, which is a 9-cost 8/8. When played, give each enemy unit -3/-3 for this phase. And when an enemy unit is defeated, give an experience token to a friendly unit. It's a good way to just kind of get rid of a bunch of annoying things. But speaking of annoying, this is pretty annoying for sure. Galen is the king of annoying. It's just you shut down their credits or their aggressive negotiations, and it's just pretty rude. But anyway, yeah, that's the deck. It's been a lot of fun to play. I hope that if you give it a try, you like it. And please feel free to drop a comment. Anything that you've done that's different in this list, things that you like, things that you don't like, whatever the case may be. Let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe. May the Force be with you, my friends. I hope that you're all doing well. Take care, everybody. See ya.